incoming president in charge of academic affairs and chairman of this afternoon's function, Dr. Garnet Roper, president of the Jamaica Theological Seminary, Reverend Dr. Burchell Taylor, guest speaker, chairman of the board of directors, Mr. Linroy Marshall, represented by member of the board of directors, Reverend Dr. Lenworth Anglin, other esteemed members of the board of directors of the Jamaica Theological Seminary, heads of institutions and colleges, members of faculty and staff, members of the clergy, and other specially invited guests, members of the class of 2017, parents, spouses, friends, and well-wishers, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I must begin by stating that it is an honor to have been selected to deliver the valedictorian address at our commencement ceremony this evening. It is indeed a privilege to represent this august company of men and women. Some of us entered the Jamaica Theological Seminary, JTS, just 3 years ago. Others 4, 5, even 6. Funny how time flies when you're at JTS. But finally, this evening we celebrate our triumphs, our achievements, and our victories, both as individuals and as a group. We celebrate the end of a chapter in the book of our lives that is being written to later become our history. The plethora of achievements of this class of 2017 would not have been possible without the help, support, and guidance of more than a few persons to whom I would like to pay homage. To our president, Dr. Garnet Roper. Thank you, sir, for standing at the helm of this institution amidst its many challenges and never faltering or failing to keep the vision alive. To our faculty members, you are one of a kind. There was no question that you had our best interest at heart. We love and appreciate you dearly. To our administrative staff, we had our complaints, but if your job wasn't done, we would not be here today. We lift our hats to you for bearing with us throughout the years. To the ancillary and maintenance staff, it is said that cleanliness is next to godliness. I don't think we can imagine how much you have assisted in keeping us close to our God. We truly appreciate your hard work. To the security team, thank you for securing our interest over the years. To our families and friends, to parents who worked hard to pay tuitions, children who had to do their homework in the library, falling asleep at the back of class, and to go it alone when their parents were overwhelmed with assignments. To husbands who took on added responsibilities, wives who got their husbands back, and friends, great friends, who encouraged and assisted us in every way possible. Words alone cannot express our heartfelt gratitude for your love and support over the years. We truly appreciate and thank you all for your hard work you put into assisting us in arriving at this point in our lives. I have the support of my fellow graduates in saying that our time spent here at the Jamaica Theological Seminary has been invaluable. For those who have had the experience of attending other tertiary institutions, we are able to say that the emphasis on prior here was a distinction that was welcomed. It has made an indelible impact on our spiritual lives. Time will not permit me to speak in detail of the unforgettable memory of a developmental psychology class, at the end of which we were encouraged by our lecturer and prayed for. But I will say that I believe there was not a dry eye left in the room as we all felt the love and concern for our well-being. This is a prime example of how we were able to endure and overcome challenges such as the death of friends and loved ones, the loss of marriages, the burden of financial challenges, and the pain and suffering through illnesses. We found here at JTS a buttress amidst all these challenges that could never be equated in monetary value. As we reminisce, let us consider some wise words from Mother Teresa, who said, and I quote, "We think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty." And more people are experiencing this poverty. Women's Resource Outreach Center recently had an empowerment session under the theme, "Love me to live, don't love me to death." The Office of Children Registry reported a troubling increase of 19% in reported abuse cases in 2016. Women and children have been victims of abuse, and there are other vulnerable groups, the elderly and persons with a disability, to name a few more. Our experiences here at JTS have taught us how to respond to a society that is quickly being depleted of love, care, and concern for individuals. We were blessed to be on the receiving end of such benevolent acts. We are now being charged to extend to society that which we have lived and breathed here. We are being charged to go out and transform the society the way we have been transformed. The greatest need, the need is great, and beyond that which most of us can begin to imagine. Over the past year, a group of us had the privilege to be mentors at an institution that served children with a disability. One young girl, just 15 years old, was abandoned as a baby and was clearly suffering from abandonment issues, to the extent that whenever her mentor promised to visit, she would constantly ask, "Are you sure you're going to come? You promise?" The child would call quite a few times before the day of the visit, and when we finally get there, she wanted the mentor to speak to no one else because she would complain that the time was too short to allow anyone to deprive her of it. She feared constantly that we would not return, as many had made promises and not kept them. That is but one example. I say to us all today, the need is great, and it will take commitment to meet that need. Let us not add to or continue to ignore the need to love and care for others. Let us make that call when we hear our neighbor screaming because of abuse. Let us spend an hour or two in a children's home to iron some uniform, comb a little girl's hair, or cut a little boy's hair. Be a conversation companion occasionally to an elderly who lives alone. Mentor a child who is deprived of a parent or older sibling. There is no question that we are prepared for these tasks and more. The 15-year-old girl who leaves the home of a man providing her lunch money to go to school each day, and the 14-year-old boy who refused to leave an abusive home because of concern for his younger brother and sister, needs you, our social worker. The 9-year-old who attends school each day hungry and unkempt needs you, our guidance counselor, us. The frustrated mother who does not know how to manage her autistic child needs you, our behavior analyst. And the individuals yearning for spiritual guidance needs you, our ministers. And all of them need you, our singers or musicians, to soothe the broken spirit. We must be begin to alleviate the drifting cloud of hopelessness overshadowing our nation. We must hold to the proverb we learned early in our childhood that said, there's a silver lining behind every cloud. I encourage us with a thought from Martin Luther King Jr., who said, and I quote, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." End of quote. Hope will help us to make the first step in our journey. And as we begin this journey, we will need another important ingredient that is seemingly lost on mankind today. An ingredient that the Word of God describes as being beyond all knowledge. That is love, the love of God. I was asked a question some years ago by someone conducting a survey, and the question was, what motivates you? After careful thought, my answer was love. I realized that to love, to be loved, or to be in love is one of the strongest motivating factors for me. I believe this holds true for many persons. While faith can move mountains, love can make one climb mountains. I urge us to think not only about whom we love, but also whom we ought to love. Let us begin to change our culture of treating others as we would never ever want to be treated. Of treating persons with a disability as if they have no ability at all. Let us perish the thoughts often entertained when we see those in need, special need and otherwise, and begin to ask ourselves the question, how can I help? Let us be more willing to express ourselves in love. Love requires sacrifice, and it is this sacrificial love that will be required as the transforming agent in our society. We are sitting here today as graduates because of many sacrifices that we have made. You are supporting us today because of the sacrifices many of you have made. I implore us all not to let our sacrifices stop there, but let us continue to sacrifice each day so we and our children can have a better future. My fellow graduates, we have been trained as such. In a recent address at our salutatory service, our President, Dr. Garnet Roper, mentioned that this group, the 58 members of the class of 2017, is a representation of a group of leaders who are trained for the good of others and the glory of God's name. He said, persons are now better able to communicate, lead balanced lives, and possess a solidly grounded moral compass. It is undoubtedly evident, therefore, that we, the class of 2017, are equipped to extend to the wider society the Jamaica Theological Seminary's mandate to change the world one life at a time. As we go, I beseech us that we continue to write our history. Let us not only add years to our lives, but add life and value to our years and to those with